For you, is social media powerful or painful? Or is it a little bit of both? We're living in a world where we're over-connected, yet often feeling more disconnected than ever. When I was growing up, they always used a term called keeping up with the Joneses, which was trying to match those people in your neighborhood or your social circle. With the introduction of social media, it's almost keeping up with the Joneses 2.0 because this fear of influence and comparison has expanded to the entire world. So with social media being a reality, how do we make it more helpful than harmful? Social media can be harmful if we overconsume it. The amount of time that we spend on social media and the amount of influence that we allow it to have in our lives can be detrimental. How often have you picked up your phone and thought you were just going to check out something for 5 minutes, and the next thing you know, it's 50 minutes that you've been online? What could we have done with that extra time that's now been squandered? How many times are we out enjoying our family and friends, and we have to pause that so that we can post our activities to social media? That truly takes away from the joy of the moment and you being present in that moment. Social media can be harmful when we have unrealistic standards. This involves projection and comparison. When I feel like I have to project only my best self on social media, when I have to show and impress people with all that's great about my life, that can be a weight to carry. In the same way, when I'm looking at social media and thinking, when I compare my life to someone else's, it's not as good, it's not as fun, it's not as great, and I forget that that person is showing me just a moment in time and not their entire life, that can be burdensome. In the same way, when I'm constantly comparing my life to the lives that I see on social media, the people that are going on trips and having good times and their kids are always doing the right things, it creates this unrealistic image, and I forget that they're just showing me one moment in time. Social media can be harmful when we use it for validation. How many times have we put a post up and maybe nobody reacts to it, and we use that as something that makes us measure or determine what our self-worth is? Or what about when we get all those likes and comments and shares? It's almost as if we're on this high, and everything we do then becomes living for the next high, not realizing that there's going to be some lows in that as well. So with social media, I'm learning that we have to be really intentional about how we use this newfound exposure and platform. So what can we do to make social media more helpful? Social media can be helpful when you seek out doses of reality. Understand that everything that you see isn't really what is. Even something like the 5-minute video that you're watching now, often it takes us about 45 minutes because of multiple takes trying to get it right. There are even social media influencers who specialize in showing you the realness behind the scenes as opposed to the picture that you see in the final product. Social media can be helpful when we use it for authentic celebration, celebrating both you and other people. This is not to impress anybody. This is not for validation, but it's just sharing your story or your time and allowing others to share in that joy with you. And in the same way, feeling someone else's joy as opposed to feeling intimidation or envy. Social media can be helpful when you use it to develop community. Now, wait a minute. I mean, when you develop positive community, not those people who would encourage you to do something that was not helpful or harmful, but instead a community that's real, one that gets together around some common interest and uplifts, encourages, supports, and hears you. When you develop that kind of community, it doesn't matter where you live. It can be a powerful part of your social life. So here's the thing. Social media by itself is not good or evil. Instead, it is simply a tool. How you choose to use it determines whether it is painful or powerful. It's up to you to decide.